What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy Podcast. Today is episode 243, and we're going to be diving into a plethora of sports conspiracies, scandals. We're going to try to focus on conspiracies, but a couple of confirmed scandals warrant the attention to bring up right now. There's a couple of them where we're going to address them too, because there may be some conspiracies still underlying in some of these cases.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Definitely still some uncovered information we don't know the full truth about yet. But we're going to be diving into a lot today. I mean, right now, in terms of the world of sports, MLB Trade Line is heating up. Trade deadline is tomorrow. When this video comes out, trade deadline will be in a few hours. So that's heating up. It's getting crazy. Dodgers are making moves right now. Edman and Kopech, they are Dodgers. Miguel Vargas, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute
See
pleasure.
you later.
But a lot of things happening. If we're going to quickly address baseball before we dive into all the conspiracies, one thing I do want to address right now is that every single team, competitor, let's focus on the competitors that could trade for teams. Every competitor right now is struggling with their 6 through 9 hitters. There isn't a team in the MLB with good 6 through 9 hitters. There isn't a team in the MLB right now, other than maybe the Phillies, who are extremely confident in their bullpen going into the postseason. And so right now it's like it's a free-for-all bloodbath. The bidding wars are ridiculous. Earlier, we were in on a third baseman from the Rays. Apparently there was a bidding war between the Dodgers and the Yankees. The Cubs found out about it, swooped in and offered their
we don't want you guys to
get
get either of them.
So right now we have Cubs aren't even necessarily competing, and they're just nervous that the Dodgers or Yankees can become that much better. So they're willing to buy.
Yeah, they're just doing it
to prevent other teams from dominating. Like, we're in a
they got a call from Manfred. They're like, yeah, like you gotta step in here, right?
Yeah, it's a weird period. We're gonna see some pitchers getting moved. Flaherty got scratched today from his start. If I were to imagine, right now the Dodgers, Yankees, and probably 7 other teams are in very advanced talks, and that trade will certainly go down by the end of the day. I'd be shocked if it didn't. So we can expect Flaherty to be on the move. Don't think they'll let go of Skubal. I think that'd be a crazy move. They already traded another one of their pitchers away. I believe don't quote me. I don't know. I was going to say the Angels, but that's not right. But
Angels would never do that.
They
would never.
Why would they trade for a starter with a year left? But we're seeing a lot of moves happen right now, a lot of crazy things. And we just got to see where these big name starters go. Where Flaherty goes is massive. If we see Crochet going, which I'm expecting to happen, that's going to be a massive move that greatly impacts the rest of the year. So we got to wait on these starters, Flaherty and Crochet for the most part. I don't know if Robert will get traded. But those are the 2 names we're looking at. Crochet and Flaherty. Maybe Skubal, probably not.
Yeah, but I mean, by the time, so there's about a little under 30 hours left till the trade deadline. So when this episode goes live, I'm pretty sure the trade deadline is today. And we'll have more on it, the next episode after this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean,
if I were to assume, Dodgers more likely to go after Flaherty than Crochet because he's cheaper. But if we can get Crochet on a relatively fair deal, I think we pull the trigger. And part of me else thinks if that was on the table, we would have done it already. White Sox could also just be playing games. They're trying to get us to panic last second offer.
Very very possible.
We don't do that though. That is the one thing where if I was Chicago, I'm not sure if we're the team you want to try that with, because we'll just walk away and take Flaherty, which I think's way more likely to happen. So we'll see exactly, but I would expect Flaherty to be a Dodger way more than Crochet.
That makes sense. I just don't know how much more the Dodgers are going to want to give up to go in on this season.
We didn't give up a lot in that last trade. I will
Vargas is a
be
pretty
honest.
valuable
I mean, a
asset.
big name for sure, but we kind of seen what we can get out of him. And objectively speaking, not that upset letting him go. It's
No, but it's just I don't know how much more the Dodgers want to do on top of that. Because
yeah,
there's only
you
like
know,
outside of him, it's really only maybe Cartaya and
well, he can go. I'd say right now the two untouchables are Dalton Rushing and Jose De Paula. Untouchable.
I'm just thinking of general like bigger names that might be like seen as potential trade options are Cartaya, Outman,
Well, I'm
like
not sure who would want James Outman.
but I'm just saying names that are recognizable that some team might want to take a part of. But I that's just the thing. I don't know how much more the Dodgers have to give for something like that.
I think we actually we've got some guys that I'm quite okay letting go. We'll see exactly what they decide to go with, but yeah, I'm more than down for a Flaherty move right now or Crochet. Flaherty could also be interesting because I don't know what his contract exactly is going to be. After this year, he's looking pretty damn good, so he may get a good contract, but I don't know. Maybe his past will lower that value, but I think that's going to do it for the MLB talk. I'm not sure if you know, maybe some interesting things going on with Dodgers specifically we could address, but overall, we're doing all right. Dave Roberts, I got the magnifying glass on you though. It's we're seeing a little bit of a sunbeam from the magnifying glass come down on Dave Roberts right now. A little bit, just a little bit,
Well,
of
I
that
mean, like
scorch.
it should. I've critiqued him. I think that like if these problems are become something in the regular season, then I think it's time to move on. But we'll see. I think that this season is gonna. It's unfortunate that this season has been so riddled by injuries because it's the only way that you would really have an idea of what his abilities are going to be as a coach. I'm also just curious if Shohei would be like, if we're like, hey, so Shohei, we need to move on from Dave. We don't know if he's going to be the guy. I wonder if Shohei's going to be like, no,
Well,
we have to
remember
keep
in
him.
Shohei's contract, he can opt out if he deems the Dodgers are not attempting to put a competitive team around him.
But they
And
also
maybe,
can opt out if they let go of certain personnel.
yeah, no, same thing. So, yeah, maybe if Shohei's camp, his team decides that Dave Roberts isn't the most ideal manager to win, then I do think he has the power to suggest getting rid of Dave. I think Shohei's does have that authority because of his contract. But we'll see if he wants to do that or not. I do think it's like if Shohei wants Dave out, Dave will be gone because of the
Yeah, I mean,
contract.
it's gonna. I think it's just unfortunate because I would like to have used this year to see how Dave actually is coaching when he has all these parts. And now that's not really going to be the case because there's always going to be an asterisk like, oh, too many injuries, or oh this, or oh that. Like at some point, you just got to be like, you got to work with what you got, and this
Well,
is what you.
I'd say he's working with what he's got, and I would say the paranoia may have crept into the back of his mind, seeing all these pitcher injuries. So, like the main reason why I was mad at Dave recently is because he pulled River Ryan in his first time ever pitching in the sixth, second time ever breaching, going past 75 pitches. From a health perspective, we should be applauding Dave. He's not letting them stay extra and get hurt like what may have happened with Glasnow earlier this year, is kind of letting him stay deep in games, and maybe that led to him hitting a little DL stint, even though the reason at the DL stint is because he was sucking and we need to free up a roster spot. We did the Dodgers DL trick, but objectively speaking, I should be commending Dave for thinking about his pitcher's health, but instead I'm pissed off because that directly led to a 2-run bomb being given up analytics wise, who we brought in as a reliever. But like, I'm kind of at the stage where we have like 8 starters in the minors who throw 100. And, it takes like a month to figure out these guys, it takes like a month to scout them. And once they get scouted, you just send him down and you just call up the next guy. And all these guys, they've never made it to the MLB. We got options. To use to send them back down. And long term is probably not the greatest strategy, but if we're going for it this year, I'm kind of down for just a rotation of random minor leaguers who pump 100.
I mean, what, and you might just find somebody. You never know. Like it's all possibilities.
Everett Ryan's looking pretty nice. This guy could be a starter long term. So
yeah. And if not, maybe at least like a reliever. Like you never know.
If not, could be next man up. who's the next guy throwing 100? You're in.
Could be a closer or something. Like there's a lot of
we could do a little opener game once a week. You know what? It's probably long term would be slightly concerning for the arms, but we could do it still.
Could figure it out.
Do it. Yeah, but a lot of things are happening. But I think it's time diving into sports conspiracies. A lot of big stuff to talk about. But we're not going to start with the MLB conspiracies, though. Those aren't fun. We got to start with the biggest one of all. Everett, I think you're a little more
okay.
A little more passionate about this one, I would say.
Well, I don't know if passionate's the word, but when I think about things, this is one of the first things that I think about when we talk about sports conspiracies, okay? So obviously, I mean, if you know me, I'm the big NFL guy, right? Like, you would think that I'm bound to be talking about Spygate, Deflategate, the Tuck Rule, any of those kind of things, right? No. I am going to be talking about
straight to steroids. Oh yeah, frozen envelope.
Well, that's not a conspiracy. That one is
in a way, slight conspiracy because it's not entirely proven every single person. A majority of them we know who did steroids, but there are still some names that are I guess accused of being on steroids. That
so let's look at let's look at the frozen envelope here. So here's the deal. There's a couple moving parts with the frozen envelope. The most interesting thing of all of this right now is that if you right now listening, watching, whatever, look up frozen envelope NBA, there is very limited amount of articles, sources, anything, or websites that are like still up and running that talk about it. So that's the first thing. That's the first red flag that we're talking about here. All right. Like Adam Silver is really getting into his bag on this one. That was David Stern's deathbed. Be like, hey, we actually did do it. Please take down all that stuff. So, there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, for context. All right. Frozen envelope, just in general, that happened the very first NBA lottery. Okay. So
I think that's a key detail here. It's the
key.
very first NBA lottery.
Okay. So that's kind of part of why the conspiracy works too. Before this, for context, the NBA basically did an inverse standing kind of draft ordeal. It wasn't necessarily a draft, but like it was a draft, but the players kind of would be like, I'm not going to you, whatever. But what had happened was before Houston consecutively tanked, okay? Multiple different years to get the number 1 overall pick. And they were like, look, we are just going to do this to build the best team. And we'll just keep doing this until we have a good team. So they did it 1 year. Then the next year, the year before the implementation of this, okay? They were doing pretty well. And then they were realizing, oh, hey, Akeem Olajuwon is going to be the number 1 pick this year. We need that guy. We need the big guy. So instead of just playing and making the playoffs, they decided to tank the next 15 games. Their head coach put in a 37-year-old veteran who had not played a single minute in the NBA that entire season. He put him in for the next 15 games. They lost all 15 games of those straight, and then that 37-year-old veteran proceeded to retire the very next day at the end of the season. After that, they were tied with, I believe, the Pacers for worst in the league for just the NBA. So it went to a coin flip. This is another thing. That coin flip, quote unquote, they're like nudge, nudge, yo, give it.
Well, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going.
So flip the coin. Houston won. Get Akeem Olajuwon. Okay. Implementation. David Stern comes in. He's like brand fresh spanking new. All right. He's green. Okay. He's like, I need to do something drastic. Let me put my footprint on this. Let me put my handprint on this. All right. Let me get in and make this my thing. So he's like, all right, let's do a lottery system so that it's a little bit more even, and we can make money off this. We can make it televised. Okay, we can make this on TV. So they're thinking, okay, how do we do this? How do we do this? Do we do ping pong balls? No, I'm concerned that the ping pong balls are going to come flying out. So what's the next best alternative? Let's do it in envelopes. We'll put all the envelopes in on live TV. We'll spin it and we'll pull them all out. Okay. Now let's fast forward. All right. Let's fast forward. They've done alterations since then, but there was seven teams in this thing.
Lottery.
There was only one. Yeah, there's only one envelope for each team. Okay, they all had the same odds. This is not like it is now, where there's like increased odds, whatever. Right? All the same odds. So, we'll go back to all this second, but they spin it. They take them out one by one. They put the first envelope he grabs, he puts down first. Then he puts all the other ones behind him, and he opens up those last ones from what the 7th pick is going to be the first pick. So that first envelope he pulled out was the first overall pick. Okay. Opens it. It's the New York Knicks. Congratulations, Patrick Ewing. Now, here's the deal. Okay. First of all, the Knicks had the biggest market of all of those teams. New York, big market. NBA is not doing well. We need to get money for it. Okay. Next. This is where it gets really interesting. Okay, so the frozen envelope theory is.
Do you know just real quick the other teams that were like really in that contention, like Knicks?
It was the Pacers, Sonics, Hawks, Kings, Clippers, and Warriors. So
looking at those teams, I think it's quite obvious which franchise we'd want the biggest star in college basketball to go to.
So here's the deal. Now, the frozen envelope is the idea that the envelope that was put in a freezer, then put in there so that they would know and be able to
very obvious when you're putting your hand in there,
right? Yeah. So here's some other things. Okay, when they first put in the envelope, okay, the person who put in the envelopes was from the accounting firm of Ernest and Winnie. Keep that in mind for right now. His name, Jack Wagner.
Ernest and
Winnie. Okay.
Winnie.
He's putting all these envelopes in. And while he's putting all 7 envelopes in, he pauses just for the briefest of moments before dumping the 4th envelope into the ball. The envelope bangs off the side, dents the corner. So now there's a observable dent that creased the corner of the envelope. Okay. Now they spin they spin. David Stern then goes in there. He's fumbling around for a little bit, almost like he's grasping different envelopes, grabbing different ones. Like, oh, this is totally random. Let me grab different ones here. Just like, you don't know which way I'm going. But he just somehow manages to grab the one envelope that's got the creased corner. That, took a second to throw off the inside of the wheel.
Well, to be honest, the fact that David Stern's just like allowed to put his hand in there and in a way
now, so he pulled that one out first. Right? He pulled that one out first, and then pulled all the other ones out. Remember, that creased envelope happened to be the Knicks. Now, here's
just making sure. Did he open every envelope to confirm that not every envelope had a Knicks logo on it?
Yes, he opened all of them. Like he's just like, making sure. First one, sure. Warriors. Look at this. Second,
just making sure.
Got this. It. So now this is where the interesting thing is. Before the draw, the Knicks owner was standing there. He's on stage. He gives, little smile, little thumbs up before the draw starts. He's like, hey, thumbs up, like we're good. And then obviously he drew the Knicks envelope. After all that, this is what's the most interesting thing. Ernest and Winnie, the accounting firm that the dude who put the envelopes in there is from.
Wait, why does an accounting firm get to
I don't know,
do the draft lottery?
Just so happened that accounting firm was auditing was the auditing firm for Gulf and Western, who just so happened to own the Knicks. And
see, there we go. That's what I'm looking for.
The president of Madison Square Garden reportedly when he was asked about the possibility of a fix, reportedly stated that he, quote, told Ernest
Was
and
that still
Winnie,
Dolan?
I don't know. He reportedly told Ernest and Winnie how to fix the draw 60 days before the actual draw. And Ernest and Winnie, he was like, yeah, we call up Ernest and Winnie, and you say, if you don't get Patrick Ewing, we are firing you. So the owners of the Knicks will fire the auditing firm that works for them if they don't give them Patrick Ewing. So things start to make sense, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and
you look at all those angles, and I think it's difficult to, at minimum, admit that there was a lot of pressure on the accounting firm, which happened to operate the entire draft lottery, that there was pressure on them to help the Knicks out. That part, a little tough to deny. If we're going like deep, full on NBA conspiracy theorist stuff, looking at the background of the National Basketball Association at that time period in the mid 80s, David Stern just comes on as commissioner, taking over a league that was, quote, from the MJ doc, a league that had a team known as the Coke Snorting Bulls. Okay, those are documentary words, not mine. Documentary words, not mine. That was the reputation of one of your largest franchises in the league. So David Stern had to rebrand the image. And like also at the 80s at that time, I don't know exactly, but I would assume the MLB was miles ahead of the NBA in popularity, and the NFL was also much, much bigger. I couldn't tell you the exact breakdowns, but the NBA was in third place compared to those.
They were not doing well. They were not doing well.
And they needed to do something to boost up the league. And at that time, now Michael Jordan went 2 picks after Hakeem. Ewing was the year after. They did not know Michael Jordan was going to be Michael Jordan and save the NBA marketing wise. They had no idea that was going to happen. So David Stern had to pull some strings. Hakeem to Houston and Patrick Ewing to New York. Hakeem to Houston makes sense because Hakeem played at Houston, Phi Slamma Jamma. That makes sense. Hometown guy, staying home, same market. That's good. And Patrick Ewing to the Knicks, Georgetown, Big East guy, New York, East Coast basketball, going to the Knicks, the biggest team in the league. Yeah, like that is good for business. Like that's how you're going to help the NBA become notable when a star player is on a well-known top team. So from all those angles, it makes complete sense. And when you also look at David Stern and how player marketing was at the forefront of his tenure as NBA commissioner, and he was so on board with pushing Magic versus Bird in the 80s, making sure MJ was the face of not just the NBA, the face of sports in the 90s. Now Michael Jordan's on a different stratosphere of fame. So David Stern, when you look at all of it, it makes complete sense why he would fix these things logistically for the
it was also not just like even later outside of the 80s, like you get into the early 2000s, like there were other things going on that were like very much in the favor of specific teams.
Yeah, and hey,
so
to be honest,
doing well in specific markets.
Although I despise the move to this day, him vetoing Chris Paul to the Lakers, if you're looking at it from the perspective of helping the NBA grow, he made the right choice in vetoing that. Because if Chris Paul and Kobe played together, Everett, that might be a 4-peat. That might be a 5-peat. And I know it's Chris Paul we like to make fun, but if he had Kobe in his younger years when Chris Paul was like point god, oh my God. David Stern had to veto it because he knew it would have shut the league down. No one would have cared. The Lakers would have won every single year. So
have to do something for the league.
And yeah, just making sure. David Stern's last year was 2014. David Stern did not veto LeBron to the Heat. Keep that in mind, folks. That one he was fine with. He knew JJ Barea was going to clamp that ass in the finals, so he knew it was fine.
It's just the fact that the way that the whole thing worked out is crazy. And
the biggest thing for me is that accounting firm in the Knicks. You can't look the other way.
The idea of the frozen envelope itself, like the concept of it is more so
was the envelope actually frozen? I don't care.
Which is it doesn't matter. It's just the idea that it happened, right?
Yeah.
The bigger thing is there is an observable dent in the envelope that like the a dude from the accounting firm that was hired by the owners of the Knicks, did.
Yeah. Yeah. If you wanted to
And
remove any doubt, that envelope had to have like magically plopped out of the, like, I don't know how they built the cage, but like
like
there
also
can't be a
if you're
human
thinking about it,
selection. Like,
if you think about it too, like if it was rigged, that's also like at that time not great publicity, but at the same time, no publicity is bad publicity.
yeah, you want to be
So
talked about.
so you're being talked about. Um, so I mean, I just the idea that it was frozen is probably very
Yeah, who
unlikely,
cares?
but the timing of all these different things happening, taking time to fumble through there till you feel like a dent in the envelope or a crisp corner or whatever in the envelope, and taking the time to throw it into the corner of the ball is just
Yeah. No, a lot of it
yeah.
to me is just looking at the outlook of the NBA at the time and knowing what David Stern's job is as NBA commissioner. His job is to grow the value of all 30 NBA well, at that time it wasn't 30, but his job was to grow the value
It's
of all
just
NBA
also
franchises.
look,
And
yeah, the Knicks were in a huge market and they were doing so unbelievably poorly in that
yeah, they're
market.
awful.
So you get the biggest name in basketball, in college basketball at the time, and Patrick Ewing to go there, and immediately you get phone calls off the line, buying out season tickets, all that kind of stuff in an era that is the big man era. So I just, it
No, it seems
it's
to me it's
just
quite clear that something was up there to have Ewing
yeah,
go to the Knicks.
you can't say that there wasn't something with all the way that kind of stuff works. So,
Yeah, that one
um,
is quite interesting. I would say, well, we could stay on this topic of basketball. This is another quite large one that I have a pretty strong opinion on. Michael Jordan and his retirements. We're gonna focus on the first one here, the big one.
okay.
The second retirement, who really cares? Last retirement, before he went to the Wizards, who cares? No one cares. But the first one, after Jordan's first three-peat, he retired in 1993 when I believe he was like around 33, 32 years old.
32.
Pretty much like prime MJ right there. And he, quote, retired to pursue a baseball career.
Because his dad had
Now,
passed away.
we'll get there. We'll get there. But
Sorry,
real quick about the baseball
story.
that I want to bring up. I see there are some people who say MJ was like awful at baseball, and there's also people who say he was super good. It was in the middle. He wasn't awful. He wasn't great. He was good enough to be in the minor leagues. I'll say that. He was good enough.
He was better than Tim Tebow.
Way better than Tim Tebow at baseball. Way better than Tim Tebow at baseball. But like for people who say, Jordan's the ultimate competitor, he bets on pickup games, a lot of money on those and all this stuff. From that angle, I can understand. Sure, maybe he did want to prove to himself, I can be a pro in the MLB also. I could do other sports. I can buy it. But when you look at the outside factors influencing what led him to, quote, retire and lose his passion for basketball, and instead baseball is now his passion, a lot of reasons are very interesting. So a big thing is his father passed away around that time. I'm not entirely sure if it was like that year. I think it was like
it was like a couple months before then. I think it was like 6 months ish.
Yeah, but his father passed away, and one report that I've heard for a long time is that MJ's father was a diehard baseball fan, and it was his dream for MJ to play baseball, and like to honor his father's last wish, he wanted to go play in the MLB. That was kind of the story I heard for a long time, which I could buy it. I could. That totally
it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
It's Michael Jordan. If there's anyone on earth who would have the confidence to believe in himself to make it to the MLB, it would be him. But I'm not sure if that's entirely true because, interestingly, Everett, right before Jordan retired, the NBA just happened to launch an investigation into his degenerate gambling history. That was widely documented and well known at the time. And during MJ's first retirement press conference, he joked that he would go back to the NBA if only David Stern let him back. He said that in an interview. Now, Michael Jordan seems like a
another David Stern.
Michael Jordan seems like a very calculated man. You look at his business career, what he's done. Michael Jordan, I think, at that time period, coming off a three-peat, knowing his standing in American pop culture, MJ seems to me, if you're going to make that statement, it seems to me that you feel confident you won't receive repercussions, and that making that statement now puts the pressure on Stern. I'm not. He In my eyes, he essentially told the media right then and there, you all know I'm not fucking retiring because I'm kicked out of the league. That's why. So my bigger thing, this is the deep conspiracy. Well, we'll say that. Light conspiracy, which I believe. Michael Jordan was suspended for 2 years for gambling by David Stern and the NBA. But instead of saying he's suspended, bad look on the league. Hey, remember, the NBA need to grow at that time. It's bad to say your top player suspended for gambling on games. That's a bad thing. Remember, look what just happened with Ohtani. They swept that shit under the rug instantly. They don't want that out there. So they had him go play baseball for 2 years. No public image is tarnished. Nothing publicly standing the NBA gets hurt. MJ serves his suspension, and it actually helps him publicity-wise, public-wise, image in the public opinion. It actually helped him by retiring for his dad to honor his last wish.
Yeah, made him a little bit more relatable in that aspect, I guess. Yeah.
So that's the front-based conspiracy. I believe that is 100% true. It makes so much sense. I believe that 100%. This is now the deep conspiracy. The deep conspiracy is that Michael Jordan was gambling on his games, and at some point the mafia got involved with his gambling. The mafia became aware of Michael Jordan's gambling, and the mafia realized, what's the most efficient way to assure our bets hit? Oh yeah, if we threaten the star basketball player who has the most impact on the games and tell him to point shave, not hit his overs, whatever, you name it. And that's the best way to guarantee money.
Now,
you go directly to the source.
I have to ask. I don't know if you did.
Theory's not done yet, but
okay.
No.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if you did this research, but do we have the evidence of Michael Jordan's averages or something taking a observable or even minor, but hit during that kind of time frame?
No, we do not, but we do have evidence, thanks to Clutch Sports, that his stats were boosted, and he did not warrant the certain steal measures that he deserved. So who knows, actually, maybe MJ was trying to not get his steals, and the Bulls stat keepers were trying to prop up a depoy run for MJ and giving him steals. And maybe MJ was helping out the mafia, and it was really the Bulls scorekeepers that was screwing him over. But bigger part of the thing is the mafia got a little sick and tired of MJ. Who knows? Maybe MJ was, what? I'll be on MJ's side for, maybe MJ was the ultimate competitor. When the mafia told him to point shave, that was the most offensive thing he heard in his life. He said, I'll never do anything with you again. Screw you. I'm going to go drop 70 tonight just because you told me to point shave. That could also be very true, and actually more likely with this conspiracy, because this conspiracy goes to the mafia killed Michael Jeffrey Jordan's father, and they were on MJ's ass, and it was the mafia who told MJ, get out of this shit for 2 years. This is your punishment. Now, that's the deep one. Deep one. Mafia's involved.
You know what I heard relating to this? This is also part of that deep conspiracy, was he owed money to the mafia, but it was also
that's a big thing in this whole thing. It was
also because of his golfing that he owed that money. That he would play and he would bet.
He put a lot. Phil Mickelson gambling, golfing, I'm talking.
And he Michael Jordan doesn't lose that much, but he had lost substantial money to the mafia that he had bet on golfing. And he had lost so much money with golfing that they were like, hey, you need to pay us back. Well, this is, what David Stern was like, we don't want the fucking mafia in the NBA. The mafia's already a part of the MLB. Fucking go that way.
Yeah, and I mean, we already dealt with the mafia and UNLV basketball. They thought they were past that. They thought they put that behind.
That is crazy too, by the way.
That's in its own right.
Like who was the guy that was the shark that was going to get hired by the Lakers, and then the mafia was just like, see you later, just fucking killed him before he could go over the
That
Lakers.
was with like the Showtime Lakers stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before they got whatever his name was.
Well, I mean, the mafia realized very quickly, like, sports betting is a quick way to make money.
Yeah.
Efficient way. So
I know it's a detour, but could you imagine if it was now where sports betting is legalized, but imagine it's not? Just think about how many people sports bet, whether you're in your college, you're an adult, whatever, right? Could you imagine just be like, all right, I'm betting $20 on the over for this game, and instead of sweating about the $20, you're like, if I lose this, I might get fucking shanked. Like, there's more on the line than just the money. It's my life.
Some guy named Rocco's gonna come by and give me a visit tonight.
They know my address and my social security number. Yeah. I cannot mess around.
No, like if Luis Ariz doesn't cash the over 1.5 total bases, boy, it's going to be a bad weekend.
It might be $5. It might also be my left index finger.
Yeah.
So
no, literally, they might Jamie Lannister me. They might take the whole hand. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, Mafia has been involved with sports. There's no surprise there, especially with sports betting. But yeah, that's a big MJ conspiracy there. Why he retired, why he needed to. He's coming off a three-peat, 3 finals MVPs. He's at the top of the athletic world, top of the pop culture world. Literally, it was MJ and the other MJ, the singer. Okay, the 2 MJs running the 90s, and one of them mysteriously stepped away for 2 years for this baseball dream. Interesting to me. Very interesting to me. I don't buy it. But yeah, that's the big MJ one. Where do we want to go to next? Do we want to get to Spygate?
I think we want to get to more NBA. Do you have Tim Donaghy? Penalty? Do you have Tim Donaghy on here? You had a little Lakers Kings action.
I got Lakers Kings in general, so yeah, I got some stuff.
Let's do that, and that can be our kind of
clump
NBA thing.
We can kind of clump it with Tim Donaghy, even though that's more so just confirmed. Like
that is confirmed, but he was a part of it. He was on the crew, so
yeah. So more so, Lakers Kings 2002 Western Conference Finals. Okay, the Lakers and the Kings. It's the end of Game 5, 2002 Western Conference Finals. That year, the winner of that series was going on to play the Nets, led by Jason Kidd. And everybody knew at the time that the Nets were a joke. And essentially, the Western Conference Finals were the NBA Finals. Pretty much this Western Conference Finals, yeah, it was the NBA Finals. It was the series, and it was Lakers, Kings, division rivals. A lot of history with those 2 teams. Well, I guess the history was made by this series, but the teams know each other very well. Other slight interesting moves. Vlade Divac was the center of the Kings at the time. He was traded from the Lakers for this guy, Kobe Bryant, who was now the second star on the Lakers at the time. So there's a lot of beef with the players going back and forth. As an Ohio State fan, Chris Webber was on the Kings, so I hate the Kings a little bit more. So a lot of beefs going on. But it is Game 6 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals in Sacramento. LA needs to win this game to send it to Game 7. The Kings are up 3-2. And in this game, Everett, the fourth quarter, close game, 5-point game going into the fourth quarter. Guess how many free throws the Lakers shot in the fourth quarter compared to the Kings? And then I'll break it down.
Just what the difference is?
Just total free throw difference. How many the Lakers got in the fourth quarter versus the Kings?
I think the Lakers got like 40 more.
Well, if they had 40 more free throws in a single quarter, there is no conspiracy.
Well, no, in total, they got like 40 or 50.
So the Lakers shot 40 total free throws in that game. The Kings had 25 total free throws in that game. So There was only a difference of 15 free throws overall.
Okay. All right.
But where it gets very interesting is when you look at the fourth quarter, Everett. In the fourth quarter, the Kings had 9 free throw attempts. If we're averaging out their 25 throughout the whole game, you could say the Kings maybe benefited a little in that fourth quarter. But the interesting thing is, of the 40 free throws the Lakers had in that game, 27 of them came in the fourth quarter. And of those 40 total free throws, 16 of them came in the last 3 minutes and 12 in the last 2 minutes of the game. You know, I've heard of friendly whistles,
though.
a healthy amount, but
so I mean, that's not necessarily.
No, I know, but Shaq was Iceman that night. He went 13 for 17 from the free throw, maybe his best night ever from the line.
That might be his best night ever.
That's more of a don't hate the player, hate the game. You know, hack a Shaq isn't a very effective method in that era. Don't get me wrong, but if Shaq just happens to be shooting 60% from the free throw that day, it's still a good strategy. I'd still suggest you to hack him, but hey, he's not as bad as you thought. So the hack a Shaq strategy, you know, I'm not coming at that, but it's the last 2 minutes of the game. I'm pretty sure Devon George had 2 fouls on him where he got to go to the line. Kobe had 3 separate fouls called on him at the end of the game. So
that would be a difference maker.
A 27-9 free throw differential in the fourth quarter. That's a little interesting, but the 16 in the last 3 minutes, 12 in the last 2. It's tough for me to turn a blind eye as a Laker fan. Tough for me to act like that wasn't a little bit influenced. Where it gets very interesting, though, when you look at the outside circumstances of the time, Kobe was going through some
issues
at the time in the public image. And the Lakers, well, at the time, Kobe was publicly saying, like, I want out. I'm done with Shaq. Trade me. There was a trade on the table, and I believe 04 to the Pistons. Now, Kobe would have shut that shit down immediately. He's not.
I had seen a Bulls trade, but
that could have also happened. But I know there was a Pistons deal that was accepted by both sides until last second. Kobe had a heart-to-heart with Jerry Buss, and Kobe was like, "All right, I'll be your guy. I'm committed to you, dog." But Kobe had his things going on at the time. He was about to be the star. Yeah. But Kobe was being pushed to be the next star, face of the league. He was going through some outside scandals going on at the time. And the NBA, they needed to make sure the Lakers won that shit. Like the Lakers need to win that. They needed to have another three-peat so they can easily go from Jordan to Kobe. Jordan did 2 three-peats. Now Kobe does it again way earlier than Jordan ever did in his career. They needed Kobe to get that three-peat in the Lakers. So it makes sense. Like, all of these come down to how the league looks as a whole. Like when 100%. You look at a commission, it all comes down to public perception.
Now,
what happens?
That is, unless it's Tim Donaghy, because that was an outside influential factor.
Now, Tim Donaghy, I was under the impression for a long time that Tim Donaghy reffed this game. I was under that impression for a long time. I thought Tim Donaghy was working these finals. That did not happen. That was not true. There is evidence in the future of Tim Donaghy match fixing games that he bet on. That is confirmed. That's true. There's no confirmation that Tim Donaghy was involved in that game. Tim Donaghy was a ref at the time, and Tim Donaghy claims that he knows refs who were also doing it. He, of course, just happened to not name any names, though, when he brought that up.
He did say, which I do believe. He was like, I mean, like,
he was not the only one.
No, that, but also he was like, all the refs, like, they'll get together and talk about, like, hey, this guy's pissing me off. I'm going to call this every single time.
Scott Foster does it to this day with Chris Paul. We all know it.
Every time. Like, they were like, all right, well, you know, this guy was disrespecting me last game, so all 3 of us are going to be on his ass this game.
Yeah, and like, that's, you know, it's how just ref crews work.
Speaking of that, I don't have this prepared, but it did make me think of the other thing, which was from like last year, I think, with the Celtics ref and the burner account.
Okay, that one's too interesting to me because first, the record, of course, in Celtics games, the Celtics were like 26-0. something crazy.
Like you didn't take a recognition of that before we got to
the and
to that point.
What make it dead obvious to me in a giveaway is that he only stepped down when it got publicly leaked that his entire family is diehard Celtics fans. Only then did he step down. If that didn't get leaked, he wouldn't have done it. So
no, yeah.
because he did not say shit until he got exposed as a diehard Celtics fan, and then you immediately retire.
I will be honest.
Now it's quite clear to me.
If you want to talk about being a diehard fan, nothing is more diehard fan than literally cheating for your team.
No, yeah. I mean,
it's different.
Now I was about to say that's better than Connor Stallions, but quite literally exactly equal from that sense. Quite literally the exact same thing. You know what?
Well, Connor Stallions is at least
no, the ref probably does. Yeah, the ref has more impact. Actually, no, the ref has
Connor Stallions is at least
more
working
impact.
For his team, though. Yeah, you're like just doing it for the love of doing it.
The one thing I will say about Connor Stallions though, is that he did go to the military because it would make him a better football coach.
No, his commitment,
the dedication,
and commitment, dedication, way more. But just the pure doing it for
still, I want it out there. I will pay a absurd amount of money to read the entire Michigan Manifesto. Okay,
you might
a ridiculous amount of money.
Documentary. You might.
I really want him to publish it. I think it would be a very, very top selling book.
Yeah, the only problem is all 550 things in there that like cannot come out. That he just was like. That
100% knowing him and what his background. There's some deep shit. He probably has like a dedicated 60-page chapter just to like a specific play action play only for Ohio State. Like this dude's crazy and I love it. I love it, by the way.
Reasons I hate Urban Meyer, page 1.
No, like literally like Chapter 2A, why I hate Chapter 2B, Urban Meyer. Okay, that thing's got broken up into parts.
It was Arya Stark's list from Game of Thrones, just all Ohio State people.
Yeah, literally. It's got Cersei, the Hound. Got
see,
all.
At least I can feel a little bit like that when I play NCAA the game because I can be like, oh, I'm playing for this school. Now I'm gonna go to the coaching carousel and get hired by their rivals. And now I know all the information about that school. That's the closest I can get to it. But
yeah. I mean, it's just interesting. So yeah, I mean, that overall thing with Tim Donaghy, he has not given names of specific refs, but no, I think it would be
props to him. Props to him for that.
The crew that he worked with were all in on it. At minimum, the two other guys were clearly in on it.
Yes.
And
100%.
I don't know exactly how ref crews work, but I would guess you can change crews over time. I'd guess. I don't know. Maybe the crew you get from day one is what you got.
Well, he worked with Scott Foster a bit too, though. So
now this is the thing. Ironically,
change.
Scott Foster, I don't think he bets on games and match fix it that way. But I 100% believe he is told by Adam Silver. It might not be explicit, fix the game for blank, but this is just true. The NBA, they'll go to the refs and be like, hey, yeah, last couple of weeks, Harden's kind of been getting away with a couple calls. Don't let it happen tonight.
I think,
and they'll say that
Adam Silver would be like, hey, wouldn't it be super cool if we like got more money from TNT? And Scott Foster would be like, yeah, dude, that'd be sick. I got you.
Yeah, because I mean, hey, right now, if we're looking at from a league perspective, what do you think is the largest complaint by fans right now about the NBA other than Jason Tatum being a copycat and Jaylen Brown's left hand? What is the biggest issue that fans have with the NBA right now?
I think it's
well, fans, they don't care about like when they're watching
multiple different platforms. The fact that they killed TNT,
refs, damn it, the refs, too many damn foul calls.
The TNT show,
the refs was the answer. Damn it. Right now, if you're looking at it from an NBA perspective, they would want to ramp down these calls because holy shit, it is unbearable.
It also needs to be more consistency. Need more consistency.
Yeah, something needs to happen with these damn refs. I don't know if they need to go to boot camp. I don't know if they need to rewatch some tape. I don't know what the solution is, but the current formula is not working with the NBA as a product. And I'm purely talking, go on Twitter and type in ref show during an NBA game, there will be 8,000 tweets within the last 30 minutes. So they'd want to tone down the reffing, if anything. And I guess if they were going to do that, the strategy is you don't give certain players calls that they probably should get. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
I'll need to look into that.
Okay, let's get to one more. So choose your juiciest one, and let's get to that.
Well, I want you to pick one. I got a bunch of scandals. I think these are all facts remaining with what I got.
So choose your one that's the biggest conspiracy out of those.
Derek White making Team USA because he's a Nike athlete and Jaylen Brown isn't. That was a joke one. I'm kidding. How about... I guess Spygate, Deflategate would be my most conspiracy, not exactly confirmed, but I feel like that's kind of confirmed.
I mean, it is confirmed that they did stuff. I'm still under the impression.
Like I got Lance Armstrong on here.
That's
Houston Astros sign stealing, also confirmed. Steroids confirmed. Black Sox confirmed. Juice ball, dead ball theory not confirmed, but you guys, I've said it a lot, so let's not spend this time on it.
Don't need to go with that again. Bountygate's confirmed, but other teams is not.
SMU, Reggie Bush. The Reggie Bush is slightly interesting, but it's just like, it's at this point with the current state of college football, it's who cares? Sure, he was getting paid. All right.
Yeah. I mean, with the Deflategate and Spygate, the only interesting thing is just how long they were doing it for. Because from my knowledge of things, it kind of seemed like Bill was doing it the entire time he was with the Patriots, really. And like he kind of like for that first Super Bowl, I kind of think that both teams were doing it when they played the Rams. Like both teams were doing Spygate. Can you imagine you're just showing up? You got your camera guy from the Patriots and he's walking to the stadium. Yeah. He just crosses paths with the camera guy from the Rams. You're like, morning, how's it going? You just casually both got the huge camera setup.
Or next level, they're both pretending to be other team scouts. So the Patriots scouts dressed up in Rams stuff. The Rams scouts dressed up in Patriots scouts. And the Patriots scout pretending to be a Rams guy shows up and sees a Patriots scout at the what were you? What are you doing here? And the Patriots scout asks the Rams guy, "Oh yeah, where? Oh yeah, no. I quickly here for a quick little meeting with your team on something. There's some interesting storylines that could happen.
Doing maintenance. I'm thinking of somebody with like janitor gear on, fake mustache here. With he's got the whole like zip up thing. Like now you see me. Like they're in like the whole like janitor zip up coat thing.
Yeah, I mean,
around with a mop.
The thing is, it's sending scouts to practices to film practices. That was the big Spygate thing. And that is confirmed. That happened, right?
Yes, that did happen. That is known. That is known that happened.
That's what I'm reading quickly online is that one conspiracy spinoff of that is that it allegedly got leaked that the Patriots were doing it throughout their whole tenure under Belichick. So 1A conspiracy, but the 1B conspiracy I'm reading is that, quote, Roger Goodell destroyed Patriots Spygate tapes because they, quote, revealed an even more damning form of cheating.
I think, there's a lot.
I wonder what could be a larger advantage than filming practices in the NFL. I'm thinking
getting the playbook.
Yes, but how would that happen? Illegally. Do they Watergate break into their because
that would be the next step.
If it's a former assistant just leaves the team and gives you the playbook, that is legal.
Which, by
there's
the way,
nothing in the NFL that says you don't.
As a side note, one of the coolest things in football history was Mike Leach's The Drop.
Oh,
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Genius shit.
Genius, yeah.
That's playing chess and not checkers right there.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, Mike Leach, legendary college football coach for
Red River
for Washington
rivalry
State. He
was an
had
assistant.
his
I forget
playbook.
where,
He
but
had his GA have a fake playbook or fake
call sheet of the opening
call
script.
sheet, whatever, accidentally drop it on the field, like, oh, whoops, didn't even know I dropped it. And then was it Texas who came out? Somebody,
Yeah, I
other team
forget
came
if
out.
Leach was on Texas
They
or Oklahoma
saw it.
staff,
They
but
saw it on the ground and they immediately went and studied the whole thing and then got annihilated by Mike Leach.
yeah. And it's like after yeah, I forget how many, I think they may have just had it pretended like they scripted out the entire game, which if you're an opposing football coach, you should probably
Well,
think,
I think it was a call
who
sheet and
has
was
ever scripted out an entire, well, I remember it was scripted drives because like Mike Leach just
it
says
was
like,
like the
yeah,
first
by the third
three
drive, they
drives.
were aware it was full of shit and we went back to
It
playing
was like
football.
I think it was like first 2 or 3 drives because
At
they were like,
least the first drive.
we already had them rattled to the point where the
Yeah.
game was over.
No, exactly. Yeah. But no, it worked. It did its due diligence. I like shit. If we're just going to quickly address sign stealing, Michigan made some news this morning. I'm not sure if you saw, but there are some extremely untrustworthy beat writers reporting on the current Michigan outlook. And this is from both Michigan and Ohio State beat writers, the worst of the worst when it comes to both fan bases. So both of them suggest Michigan's facing level 1 violations, which is the largest or the worst violations you could face. But because they're coming from these two accounts, I'm now convinced Michigan will literally get a slap on the wrist. Like genuinely, they might film the NCAA commissioner slapping Tyrone Moore on the wrist, and that is the punishment. Like literally,
if Jim Harbaugh was still there, I think that they probably actually they just fucking hate Harbaugh. But
yeah,
now that they left, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Why should we penalize a team that just lost everything already? Like their penalty was just Harbaugh leaving.
Yeah. So like what you said right there is like actually the thing. Like as an Ohio State fan, when all this news came out, the reason I celebrated wasn't because wins may be vacated. It's because this confirms Harbaugh's gone. That's why I celebrated.
Yeah, now he's coaching your
Him
team.
Happening to go to the Chargers was a nice little side little asterisk caveat dub for me. But the win was just he's gone. That was the win of that scandal breaking around September, October last year. Now we're seeing potential ramifications. But I want to just start by saying this. I'm not sure if these are allegations. Connor Stallings was on the sideline of a Central Michigan game recording signs. Central Michigan was playing Michigan State. Obviously, Michigan playing Michigan State later in the year. Like that's true. That happened. And based off that information, though, I'm not entirely sure how hard you can punish Michigan per se. But for me, more so, the big thing is the knowledge of it. If they can prove that Jim Harbaugh had knowledge of this operation and he did not do, it doesn't matter if he encouraged it, but if he did not do anything to shut it down, was aware, that's serious.
Then by you are
that's considered
by association,
lack of institutional control, and you're worthy of level 1 violations like that. There have been other coaches fired for quote lack of knowledge and stuff. Like that is enough of a reason to drop down the hammer. But this is for me where I keep getting at. When you look at recruiting scandals and things of that nature, in terms of a playing advantage, yes, cheating and recruiting 100% gives you a competitive advantage. You have better players. Duh.
Everybody should know that now by playing the game, by playing NCAA.
Like, yeah, based on just like and recruiting NIL, regardless or not, like, yeah, if you're cheating through recruiting, that is a big deal. That directly impacts your performance on the field. But also at the same time, this sign stealing stuff, that does directly impact what happens on the field. Maybe I'm the crazy one here. I feel like I see Michigan fans being like, well, first they just deny it happened. They're like, there's no evidence Connor Stallings was on the sideline. I'm like, what about this picture? They're like, there's no evidence that's him. I'm like, really? There's no evidence?
Very clearly him.
Really? But they'll just go one step further and be like,
sign stealing isn't anything new. That's actually legal, you dumb moron. What a dumb Ohio idiot. Stealing signs in game is completely legal. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, I'm well aware of it from Brent Venables at Clemson, how he destroyed me because he stole my signs. Quite well aware of it. And if you want to talk sign stealing Michigan, we can go back to 2012 when disgraced former Ohio State coach Kirk Barton stole your signs at halftime. And the second half of that game, Ohio State proceeded to mollywop you up and down the field with your signs. So you're right. Sign stealing is legal in game with a decoder up, decoding it live. That is totally legal. What's illegal is sending a staff assistant Connor Stallions to a Central Michigan sideline with a camera to film Michigan State signs because Michigan plays Michigan State later in the year. That's not okay. There's a difference between
premeditation is different.
Slight difference between that. The last thing though about all that, which I think is interesting, is people say, well, once Michigan, quote, got exposed, they suspended their coach. Well, they won the Natty. They ran the table. They went on, won everything. You're right. They did. I can't take anything away from that. In my eyes, like, yeah, Michigan, they won that national championship. I wouldn't vacate that one. They did go through some of the most adversity a team could face, and they went through it. But what I can't exactly get over is people saying, oh, well, Michigan got exposed cheating. They play Ohio State in 5 weeks. Just change your signs, dummy, if you're that concerned about it. From the sense of change your sign, sure. I found out Ohio State had been using the same signs for 4 straight years. Ohio State needs to change their signs. Don't get me wrong, okay? That needs to happen badly. Well, thank God there's Coach Cam. Thank God there's Coach Combs now. There's Mike's now. But Ohio State, they had some issues. But Michigan, the scouting's done. What do you mean? By the time October rolls around, Michigan's got signs of every fucking team up and down. They know everything. By halfway through the year, what, you think they just scout the week before? What the hell are you on? This is like one of the largest sign stealing ops we've ever seen. It's clearly quite organized, folks, with Connor Stallions buying flights all over the country. Clearly a system's in place.
Also, though, as somebody who's been in football, which a lot of these people that are saying those kind of things have not actually spent time in a locker room in D1 in college, it's not easy to do that. You're preparing for new teams every week. The moment you go into like, hey, we play Michigan in 5 weeks, so we got to change all of our signs right now, and you're trying to learn this. I don't care if you play fucking Emory next week. You will and can lose that game because you're too focused on something else. Yeah. So it doesn't work that way.
Maybe Ohio State did rechange every sign once they found out. Well, now they're dedicating practice time to relearning signs instead of practicing football. So that does impact their performance. Scandals or
also issues. There's only so much you can do because the play calls themselves, you're not changing the names of the play call, you just are doing the signs. So if I'm saying, hey, my sign here is fucking toothache, let's say my sign is toothache, I'm like, right, I'm pointing at my tooth, right? What else am I gonna do? Like pointing at my head, like I have a fucking, like, what am I gonna do? Point at my jaw? Like it's all gonna be similar. Or if I'm doing bazooka, right? If I say bazooka or fucking, I don't know what the alternative would be, like cannon, right? What am I going to do? I have one like this. Like, what's my next alternative going to be? Like,
it's just like, like if it comes like this thing, there is no evidence Jim Harbaugh had evidence and knowledge of this happening.
Yeah.
If that comes out as true, he had knowledge of it, then the next step is how deep did it go? How many coaches were in on it? How many players were in on it? In my opinion, it seems quite obvious the entire fucking team was in on it because the very first drive of Michigan at Ohio State in 2022, the first drive, Ohio State calls their first audible of the game at the line of scrimmage where they check. Immediately after the check comes in, you see Connor Stallions instantly signal this. What happens right after that happens? Minter doesn't even ask a question, immediately starts signaling. Then what happens? Oh, the entire Michigan sideline immediately starts. It seemed to me that, hey, guys,
everybody was aware.
signs can come out quick on these audibles. You better be ready on the ball. Help your teammates out.
That should have been Michigan's home field advantage in the game. It's just immediate play recognition.
Yeah, 109 play recognition for every player. I like.
Oh my god,
that to me is a damning piece of video for the first drive of the game, the first audible, and the whole sideline knows the call.
Huh. I wanna wrap up with this, Grant. This is what I want to wrap up with. This is not a conspiracy theory or anything. This is just a general stat that I wanted to at least get out today. Grant, obviously with the signing of Jordan Love, we have these other extensions like Tua, all these stuff that is just coming.
Oh,
right?
I do want to talk about this because this.
Well, with all those, they're taking up more of a cap hit in their team. Okay. Here's the interesting thing. Only one quarterback in the entire history of the NFL has won the Super Bowl with having more than 14% of his team's cap. That quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Outside of him, the next closest, Tom Brady in 2021 at 13.7, Tom Brady in 2019 at 12.2, Peyton Manning in 2016 at 11.8, and Eli Manning in 2011 at 10.7. For reference, if we keep that track, let's just say Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback that can possibly do it over 14%. Okay. Let's just say for right now, he's the only quarterback that is capable of doing it. The only quarterbacks that would fall under that 14% for this next season, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, CJ, Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Will Levis, Russ, and Brock. So for reference, the only teams,
Niners are winning the CP.
The only teams besides the Chiefs that would qualify are
Chiefs.
The Chiefs are counting because Patrick Mahomes already did it. But the only teams that qualify would be Bucks, Seahawks, Raiders, Broncos, Panthers, Texans, Vikings, Bears, Colts, Commanders, Patriots, Titans, Steelers, and 49ers.
Yeah, so Niners, Chiefs, let's run it back.
That's what it's going to have to be. Like that outside of that, that's the only team that I think has a
and I'm down to run it back. Let's run it back, boys. Let's run it back.
Yeah, that's just
I mean, you tell me that and it terrifies me knowing the Chiefs, they can go wide receiver by committee. Like I was only half joking when I would say that in the past. Like that actually is their formula. You need a top 5 defense. You keep sure Mahomes in the game. Mahomes is enough to get you scores when you need them in the playoffs. Focus on the defense.
That's just interesting to me that like we always have talked about how, you want to try and get a guy on a rookie contract or a low deal, but literally this is one argument for Patrick Mahomes,
the GOAT.
But also this is more so an argument for the money and the cap in the NFL, like how valuable quarterbacks are, but also how valuable every other position is. Because if you use up too much cap space.
So yeah, just make sure. So Mahomes is signed through 2031. So
yes, and I think he has an ability to extend
7 more years on his deal, but he can renegotiate. Okay, key detail. But it's at 45 a year.
He can renegotiate to become the number 1 paid quarterback in the NFL, I think.
Which will happen one day. It will. And I hope it's sooner than later as a Chargers fan. But when that day comes, that let me rephrase it. The years leading up to when that restructure happens are going to be some of the best value years the Chiefs could have for their quarterback salary cap percentage compared to others. Like right now, new quarterbacks, like you get 55 a year. T-Law and J-Love just got that. That's 10 million more than Mahomes. So that is
for reference though, they are taking up less percent on average than Mahomes is.
Yeah, I'm reading an average percent of cap at signing. This is what I'm finding on Spotrac. But I guess if they were to do it percent by annual salary cap, like by year, like, yeah, 45 takes up less than 55. It's not, that's quite simple math to do there. So yeah, I mean, when you just look at the rate, I mean, right now, Patrick Mahomes is tied for the 11th highest paid quarterback in the NFL on an annual basis. Think about that. He's not a top 10 paid quarterback per year in the NFL.
Crazy.
Nuts.
Crazy.
Absolutely
He's kind of on a much more expensive scale. He's doing the Tom Brady ideology.
Yeah.
On a much more expensive scale, but yeah. So
to a degree.
To an extent. Yeah. But that's really all I just wanted to mention. I don't know if you have anything else. Otherwise, we can wrap up right now because we've been going for.
No, yeah, I think we can skip by the Lance Armstrong conspiracy theory. I think that's just fact. I think it's just truth.
For reference of anybody, this is
juicing.
not the man who went to the moon. All right, the man who went to the moon was not juicing.
No. We're not talking about Neil Armstrong.
Don't know how roids in space work. So
yeah, not Neil and Buzz Aldrin. Not those two. Lance Armstrong.
Yeah. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Rate us 5 stars. You can find us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and on Instagram at WaterbookPod. Make sure you follow me. You're going on Twitter at Everett6 and at WaterbookGrant. We post new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Make sure to subscribe to our notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We also post on Instagram and on TikTok every week, so make sure to check us out there. We're also now live streaming. We have a live streaming series going on YouTube and on TikTok. If you want to rewatch it, you can check it out on YouTube. If you want to watch it live, you can watch it on either. So make sure to check that out. With that, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Waterboys out.